working women are 2 times more likely to be managing the household and 3 times more likely to be managing their children's schedules. That's a lot.
It's a whole heck of a lot.
Many women that I work with feel that overwhelming, I can't get it right here because I have to be here. And there's this constant reprioritizing of the things that we need to accomplish. And self-care, if we compartmentalize it into a $3 bath bomb, we're really missing the mark. Internal self-care is what will sustain us, whereas the $3 bath bomb dissolves. I mean, it's quite literally the best analogy because you throw it in there and it dissolves and it just goes away.
Right.
And that's essentially the difference between external self-care and internal self-care. We have to make sure that we're taking care of those internal dynamics. We are setting boundaries and we're listening to ourselves and making sure that what ourselves are saying is serving us.
Welcome to the 20th episode of the Story Project podcast. I'm your host, Joanna Scott, and I'm so excited for this conversation with a new friend of mine, Samantha Jones. Before I welcome my guest, I want to share a little bit about her. Samantha is a powerhouse of strength and creativity, fueling her passion for empowering others through her business and life transformation company called Cre8Wise Movement. As a loving wife and nurturing mother, Samantha's dedication extends beyond her family, as she also leads a charitable organization. Through this organization, Samantha helps underserved women find independence by providing them with job readiness skills. With a heart full of love and a mind focused on transformation, Samantha embraces cooking, hiking, and the beauty of mountains. I do too, as sources of inspiration. Above all, she cherishes the precious moments spent with her cherished family and loyal 4-legged companion. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. This is very exciting for me.
Thank you for being with us in Columbus, Ohio.
Yes.
And this is your big day with Studio 88. And how has it been going so far?
This is the most fun I've had in a really long time.
Yay.
There's an incredible team. I feel like a rock star. It's great. It's a lot of fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you are a natural.
Thank you.
In front of the camera, and I know you killed and rocked your video interviews and your heart and passion. It's just going to be really, really exciting to see all of the final content when it's finished.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm excited. This has been a lot of fun, really. Thank you guys very much.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, you and I met at CE on the Beach officially for the first time. I mean, Facebook friends, but that was our first time we got to hang out and interact. At Manal Sampat's event in Turks and Caicos, which was beautiful.
Yes.
But I have to highlight a story there. We were just kind of laughing a few moments ago about it. Laughing, and also in the moment, though, it wasn't that funny. Josh and I think went on an excursion, came back, and then the whole place was in high alert. And then you shared a story. We walked up on the beach, and you guys were still kind of shaken up. So what happened? I'll let you tell it since you fully experienced it.
Yeah, it was terrifying. Here we are at this beautiful beach. My husband and my daughter, so my husband Jason and my daughter Savannah, took our snorkeling gear. We brought some snorkeling gear, and they went for a swim. They were going to go see what they could see. And they swam all the way out to where they sort of rope off the area that you can't go past. They were having a great time. I was on the beach reading a book, and very shortly after, getting started in the book and just kind of getting settled in, I hear whistles, and I see 4 men from the resort running down to the beach with purple flags and waving these flags, yelling, "Get out of the water, get out of the water." And I'm a child of the 80s, so I knew right away. I've seen Jaws enough times to know what was happening.
Yes.
And I panicked. So I sort of kind of came outside of myself. It was the crazy mom that was running to the edge of the beach.
Mama bear.
Yeah, Mama Bear.
Yeah.
Waving my family back to the shore. And they swam their buns off and got safely back to shore. But it was a very scary moment for all of us.
Well, and I'm sure that was also, Yes, terrifying being the mom watching, knowing two of your family members are out,
Right.
in the ocean with a massive shark, and there were different stories that we heard. I think that the resort staff was trying to downplay the size of the shark, but multiple witnesses and people saw it, and it was
16 foot is what I heard.
Yes.
16-foot tiger shark. Yeah.
Yes.
It was terrifying. I remember looking sort of to the right and seeing 3 Coast Guard boats in a formation, a strange formation. They were like in a triangular formation. And I think they were surrounding the shark at the time. So it was crazy. It was so crazy.
Thankfully, no one from our event got hurt.
Thankfully.
And I think it's an interesting big story. I
It
think
is.
there was someone did get hurt, not from our group. And I think there was also gang activity. You could probably do a Google search and find out the whole story. Sharks in Turks and Caicos. I don't know, what month were we there?
July
of
mid-July.
23.
Unforgettable.
We'll never forget it.
Never forget that. Never.
Okay, I have a few rapid fire questions for you
to
help our audience get to know you a little better.
Let's do this.
All right. Why do people think you are an extrovert when actually you're an introvert?
Ooh, I think it's because I'm very expressive. When I get around people, I do feed off of other people's energy. And I think that I don't know. It's been the question I've asked myself like my whole life, but I do think it has to do with the fact that I'm just very expressive.
Amazing. What has been your favorite dental conference this year?
Can I say 2?
Absolutely.
Is that okay?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
So I really enjoyed Weevolution, which is Vanessa Emerson's conference that happens in May every year, because it felt like summer camp. It's a conference for speakers and consultants, and I spent the whole weekend with friends and colleagues, and so it just felt very fun and like summer camp. But I also really enjoyed Paul Goodman's Super Dentist Boost conference that he did in August in Philadelphia. I enjoyed it because it was very intimate. It was a pretty small conference, and I just loved the way that he positioned the content. He really has a heart for the dentisting human, and I felt very. It felt like it was a matching of values. It was a very fun conference as well.
Yeah. I think his whole crew is just super uplifting to be around.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. That was the vibe that I felt the entire time that I was there, and the conversations that I was having with a lot of young dentists. I just felt like it was a really great environment to have for young, new dentists coming into the world of dentistry. So it's great.
Okay, last one. What is it about mountains and hiking that lights you up?
Oh, I wish I knew. It's like medicine. I don't know. I get to, I will get to the point where we'll take a drive to Colorado. I live in the state of Kansas, and so frequently I'll drive to the state of Colorado. And just the minute that I see them, it makes me feel like the world is very big, and that even though the world is big, we each have our unique stamp that we're here to put on it. And so the mountains just bring that alive in me. The air smells different, certainly makes you feel different. I usually have to acclimate a little bit, but I there's just something majestic about the big giant mountains that kind of puts you in your place. And I love them.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
We're going to go hike, you and I, sometime.
Let's
Some
do it.
Mountain. Name it.
It's a date. Same. Yes.
Well, before we get into the professional side of what you do and who you are, I want to go back a bit. Tell us just, briefly, where did you grow up? And you mentioned you're in Kansas City now. Tell us just a little bit about where you grew up and where you're based now.
I grew up in a fun little town called Lawrence, Kansas. I'm actually
you're from Kansas.
I am from Kansas. Yeah. And Lawrence is an awesome place. It's funny because there's all this buzz about Taylor Swift right now.
Yes.
With Travis Kelce, who is a Kansas City Chief. And she mentioned Lawrence the other day on some YouTube video that she made. And it's because it's really special. It's a really special community. It's a college town. It's the home of the Jayhawks. Go KU. And it has a very robust and rich art culture there. Oh. And so I really loved growing up in a town that had a significant amount of diversity, but also just an appreciation of the arts. It was a great place to grow up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, so you're a Kansas girl.
I'm a Kansas girl.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm used to all the, Wizard of Oz jokes and all of that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, you have 2 kiddos, so tell us their names and ages. And I just kind of wanted to hear, we could talk about being moms forever, you and I, but
sure.
What is one of your favorite aspects of raising, little people and watching them grow up into amazing, young adults?
Yeah. So Jordan is my oldest. He is a senior at DePaul University. He will be 23 years old in a couple of weeks, which is insanely crazy to think about, the fact that I have an adult child. Yeah. And then Savannah, who is my beautiful 16-year-old daughter that is just full of love and joy and light. Gosh, Joanna, being a mom, what an incredible journey. And I think that my favorite part about mothering children has been the lesson that I have gathered about truly experiencing unconditional love. When you're a mom, the bond that you create right from the start really is undescribable. And as time goes on and you watch your children go from this tiny little, helpless baby to independent, free-thinking humans, there is a sense of pride. But most of all, I think that my favorite part is just having gratitude in experiencing truly what unconditional love feels like.
Yeah. And it's amazing. I have, we were just talking earlier of a senior and then a 13-year-old daughter who is in 8th grade. And you experience it. I think I'm so grateful for the love that they show me, and the grace that they show me as well as their mother, as their imperfect mother.
That's right.
Doing my best.
That's right.
Yeah.
My kids have been my greatest teachers. And I think that I'm fortunate to have had all of the lessons that they've provided me over the years. Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about the Cre8Wise Movement and what's the heart and soul behind, what you do.
Yeah. So the Cre8Wise Movement, I would say if I had to sum it up, and the heart and soul of what it is that, when we're kids, we have the ability to embody a character. We have imaginations that just run wild. We can be a princess one minute, and then the next minute we're building the castle with Legos. It's an amazing characteristic that children have that gets lost along the way. As we experience life and we have experiences and we load up our responsibilities, we forget how to imagine or dream or think about things that are seemingly impossible. And the Cre8Wise Movement is really a compilation of wanting to pull forth that childlike imagination into the real world of adulting and give people the opportunity and chance to dream again, to have a vision again, and then to know what to do with it. It's Cre8Wise Movement is a very practical company where we do teach strategies on organizing your business, but at the heart of it, it is a space where we get creative and we pull forth the visions and dreams that we have still as adults that we forget about because we're too busy and distracted doing so many other things.
Yeah. Do you solely work with women, entrepreneurs, or do you also work with guys? Or
Yeah, that's a great question. I get that question a lot.
Do you?
I attract mostly women. I would never say no to a heart-centered man who came to me and said, I have a dream and a vision, and I want to do this, and I need your help. I'm here to help and serve people. But I think, I've thought about this. I mostly attract women, and I think it's because of the industry in which my business has come out of. I'm in the dental industry, and the dental industry is predominantly women. For sure, the team members that make up a dental practice statistically are mostly women. And turns out, statistically, that most dentists are now, we've made a shift since in like 1982, I think the statistic was 3% of dentists were female. And today, that number is actually 40% or around 40%. And in the coming years, we're going to see a shift because the dental student graduate statistics are primarily women. So 60% of dental graduates are female right now.
Very exciting.
It is. And so I think that, for my company, I've really tried to tailor what I understand about womanhood inside of that to help serve others better.
Love that. Well, with you and I being women, mothers leading businesses, it goes without saying that dealing with burnout, decision fatigue in all areas of our lives is a very real thing. It can be an uphill battle. Sometimes I feel like the faster I work, the longer my to-do list becomes. And I'd love to take a moment to discuss the importance of self-care, specifically external versus internal self-care, and hear from you, like, what is the difference between these aspects of self-care, and how can we consistently implement them, in our lives?
I love this question, Joanna. I've made a whole speaking topic on this because I think it's so important. Self-care, first of all, I think it's really important that we identify the fact that self-care has been very commodified. It is a $1 trillion industry. So self-care is really looked at like bath bombs and massages and all of that. And I don't want to judge those things because I am the first to partake. I love a good bath bomb. I love a good face mask.
Or a mani.
Oh, man. I don't miss them. I mean, these babies are fresh and clean. But that's not self-care. That is not self-care. And I think that burnout, depression, anxiety, stress, all of those things are very real in our industry and among women. And I recently read a statistic from, I'm going to try to get the name right. It was it's not important. Sorry, I'm blanking on where it came from. I can find the source and we can attach it to the podcast. But what I learned in reading this article was that in heterosexual couples households, women, working women, are 2 times more likely to be managing the household and 3 times more likely to be managing their children's schedules and their children. And when you think about working women, of today's age, that's a lot. That's a lot.
It's a whole heck of a lot.
It's a whole heck of a lot. And just like you, I feel the overwhelming to-do list, and many women that I work with feel that overwhelming. I can't get it right here because I have to be here. And there's this constant reprioritizing of the things that we need to accomplish. And self-care, if we compartmentalize it into a $3 bath bomb, we're really missing the mark. We have to make sure that we're creating space in our own lives and in the women around us to really dive into what I call internal self-care,
Okay.
which is at the heart of everything. It's us setting boundaries. It's dealing with that internal voice that's telling us that we're not good enough, that we're not getting enough done, that we need to lose, 10 pounds, that, our hair roots are too long and we need to go get our hair done. Just that imposter that lives deeply inside of us.
Yeah.
Internal self-care is what will sustain us, whereas the $3 bath bomb is going to be gone in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
It dissolves. I mean, it's quite literally the best analogy, because you throw it in there and it dissolves and it just goes away.
Right.
And that's essentially the difference between external self-care and internal self-care. And I think that both are very important. But if we really want to make a difference in what I believe is the backbone of our society, which is women, we have to make sure that we're taking care of those internal dynamics. We are setting boundaries, and we're listening to ourselves and making sure that what ourselves are saying is serving us.
Yeah. Why do women and mothers, and I will include myself in this question, tend to put everyone else's needs before their own?
That's a great question. I've spent a lot of time with this question because I'm right there with you.
Almost like it's our default, and we, you almost feel guilty if you don't.
I will be honest with you, Joanna. I feel like the reason that we do that, and the reason that is our default, I deeply believe is because of a lot of conditioning that we've received. When we're little girls, we receive baby dolls to play with, and boys get Legos to build with.
Yeah.
So we are taught right from the beginning to take care of something, to use this baby doll to take care of it. And so I genuinely believe that we have been, and it's the way the world has changed. Women didn't work outside of the home for many, many, many years. That was just not a thing. And when that transition happened, we didn't look at any of the other things that women were doing, and that remained. The nurturing and the caregiving and the taking care of all of these things remained, while then we took on other responsibilities as well. So I believe it's just deeply embedded in our society. I think it's part of our conditioning as women. And I think we have some work to do there. I think it's just about awareness and bringing that to the surface, and understanding that now that we've been doing that for, a good long while, I don't know, 1950s, 1960s, when women started hitting the job force, or even before then, the Great Depression, I think we need to catch up with the fact that there needs to be, some more clearly defined dynamics to help us survive all of the things that we do.
Right. I'm just smiling because as you were, responding there, I was just thinking about how I need to be really careful raising my son versus my daughter. And I mean, I have to admit, she knows how to cook much better than he does.
Same, Joanna.
And I'm like, oh no, what have I done?
Yeah, no.
I've done the very thing where it's she's being raised in, not that she has to cook for everyone,
of course.
And I think obviously, regardless of gender, some people have more of a knack for
sure,
and a passion for being in the kitchen and being a chef and cooking.
100%.
But I do want to be so careful that I'm not cultivating in her this maybe burden to always take care of everyone around her.
Yeah.
And to stop and go, how am I today?
Yeah.
And lead with that.
Yes. I think that, I am just like you, and I have reflected so many times on parenting, because that's what we did. Am I getting this right? It's that voice, right? Am I doing it right? Am I doing everything I can? And so, like you, I have definitely questioned some of my own parental decisions on how I'm cultivating certain things that I have experienced myself. And I think that our generation is doing better, and we are more aware. And we're doing what we can, but this conversation and all these conversations are what makes it possible for us to move forward and to help break that conditioning that we have experienced,
and shape our daughters in a new way.
That's
and
right.
the next generation of women, and so that's really exciting.
Yeah, I think so.
Why these
that's
conversations
hopeful.
are so important.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk just briefly, a few minutes on expectations. And I know that I believe that whether we are experiencing demands from our own internal dialogue or from people around us, it all comes down to what is expected of us and what we expect from others. So just briefly, what is the best place to begin understanding our own expectations? Is it just purely a discovery process, like doing the work and figuring out what they are first? Or in your opinion, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that when I'm working with another woman and we're trying to get at the heart of, the expectations, like what is it that you feel like people expect from you, and what are you expecting from yourself? Yeah. It is deep discovery. And, personally, I will prescribe a couple of activities, actually some exercises, so that we actually take the time and space to think about that. I know this is going to sound crazy, but we don't stop, sit, quiet, and think very often. Our to-do list is long.
Right.
And so our ability to sit quietly and just ask those questions of ourselves, and maybe even the people around us, depending on where we're at with things, is really important. So I will actually ask my clients to write. Writing has been a healing modality for me for years, and it feels safe. You can burn it if you don't want anybody else to see it.
I've done that.
You can do that if you want, but
it feels liberating.
It does, and it's an exercise of bringing out what lives here, and here, to somewhere else, and then figuring out what we do with that. Like, what do we do with this now?
Right.
And if someone's brave enough to share with me what they've written, I just listen. I think it's important that we listen to ourselves, to other people. And to me, that's sort of the starting point to defining where these expectations come from. And oftentimes, it's interesting. Oftentimes, it's not the things that are necessarily right in front of you. It's more so the things that you've carried with you from your childhood, from, an experience. They're carried over from other things that we've stored inside of our brains, that essentially our brains are trying to help protect us from something, but in reality, it's not serving us anymore. So,
which also ties into what we were speaking earlier, just about things that are embedded in you, the conditioning, the cultivating when you are young, they impact absolutely like how you thrive and respond as an adult.
It's so important. I was sharing earlier with one of your team members that I had this revelation a couple of years ago when dealing with, dental practice after dental practice that was just like suffering. Their culture was just suffering inside. And I was like, man, what is going on? And what I found is that we just really don't understand how our own thought processes work as human beings. So I decided to study neuroscience, and it was the best thing I've ever done in my continuing education space, because it gave me this like truly deep scientific understanding of the way that our brains function. And I wish that like our kids would learn like financial literacy and neuroscience when they're in because like we know how it really would. Like we know how our hearts work. We learn things about, different systems in our body, but we don't spend a lot of time understanding our brains and why we think and what we do with information and experiences and all of that. And those things are deeply impacting who we are today, how we decision make, how we feel, what we do with our feelings. And if we don't know what to do outside of that, we're kind of running in this rat race of chaos, and that's harmful.
Wow. My goodness. We should make this like a 2-hour podcast. Well, a little birdie told me that you might have a very exciting project coming up.
Yes.
And works with a book that you are writing. So tell us, who is the book, the future of the book, who is it for, and when will the launch be?
Yes. Oh my gosh, this project.
That's such a big deal.
It really, It really is very exciting to me. I mentioned before that writing has been a healing modality for my entire life. I went through something pretty tragic when I was 19 years old, and writing was what helped me escape and get out of that space. And I wanted to be a journalist. I ended up in dentistry totally by accident. I've made a very long 28-year career out of it, but I wasn't planning on that. I wanted to be a journalist. And so this book is like the coming back to my dream. It's
exciting.
like, it's just an incredible journey. Writing a book is hard, but it is incredibly liberating, and I'm so excited about it. We are thinking, so I'm in the final stages of book writing. I will be turning over my manuscript to my team. I have a publisher, a book writing coach, and an editor. I'm turning over my first manuscript in like 4 days.
Wow.
So that's really exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Very excited. We're looking at a book launch in February or March of 2024.
Okay.
We've begun scheduling some little book tour dates around the country, which is very exciting. And this book is really for anybody who feels stuck in their life, maybe feels a little bit alone. Maybe there's something going on in their life that is challenging. This book is a prescriptive memoir. So what I mean by that is I tell my stories, some of the things that I have been through in my life. And then I share a mindset. So the prescription part of it is a mindset to either invoke or one that I personally have tapped into to try to help me with whatever story it is or situation that I'm sharing in that chapter of the book. I think that mindset is really important as we navigate the human experience. And my mindset has changed the course of my life, sometimes for good and sometimes for bad.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to just pull deep awareness into how our mindset or how we look at things or how we perceive things can change the game. I'll tell you a quick mindset story and a little bit about the birthing of my charitable organization. When I was going through my hard time, I wrote in a journal entry the day before my very first job at a this was my second job at a dental practice, but what I considered my first real job in a dental practice. I wrote, "Watch out, world, I'm going to be the best damn treatment coordinator this side of the Mississippi." It makes me laugh every time I look at that journal entry, but it was a mindset. That was a mindset that I took, and that mindset has carried me through a very successful career in the dental industry with no college education, and just the determination to continue to do better. I was dealt a set of cards, and I could either choose to become a statistic or I could choose to have a WOW mindset, watch out world mindset. WOW readiness program is the culmination of that mindset. I wanted to do something to give back, and so that's what I do. I work with women who are underserved and dealing with hard times to help them find independence, and I get them ready for a job, a profession, a career. And I think that we start with mindset. It's all about mindset. So this book is the deliverance, if you will, of many mindsets over many years that I hope other people can tap into when they're going through something that's not easy.
Yeah, which we all do at certain points in our lives.
Yeah.
And I can think of so many people and so many women specifically that will benefit from reading your book. And I will help spread the news. And
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That means a lot.
Yeah.
It means a lot. If it's in the hands of one person and it touches their, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
But I hope that in my lifetime, I can help many women, many mothers, not feel alone. Sorry, I'm getting teary-eyed. Not feel alone. Not feel like there's some bar that they have to measure up to all the time, and that they're doing everything that they can, and they have many women with their hands at their back, pushing them forward and loving them when they need it.
Yeah. My gosh. I can't think of a more beautiful way to wrap up this podcast, Samantha.
Good, because I'm about to cry.
Mean, yeah. And you have a beautiful makeup.
I have 5 inches of makeup on from video today, so
fabulous.
we can't let that go to waste.
Oh, thank you so much for being my guest on this podcast and for just being so real and authentic. I love that so much about you.
Thank you.
Where can people stay in touch with you online, on social?
Yeah, I love interacting on social media. So find me on social media. I'm Samantha Jones on Facebook. And then Cre8Wise Movement is all over social as well. But, I do like to keep it real. So if anybody ever wanted to just reach out and call me because you feel like you're in a space, please, share my phone number.
You'll
happy.
Pick up the phone.
I will pick up the phone. I will. And thank you for having me here today and giving me a platform to speak from my heart.
Yeah. That is what this podcast is all about.
Yeah.
Really celebrating and helping women support one another and put a spot. I mean, honestly, I sometimes am dumbfounded. I'm like amazed at the amazing, awesome stories that this podcast gets to host and put the spotlight on. Mm-hmm. It's truly an honor for me. So,
well, it's been an honor for me too. And I just love the authenticity of you guys as well. This has been a real pleasure and treat of a day for sure.
Good. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Well, it would mean the world to me if you subscribe to this podcast and left a review. I love this amazing tribe of women in dentistry willing to share their stories. So we will see you guys next time.